I'm going to call to order the June 25th meeting of the Tiverton Technical Review Committee. We have two applications on the agenda today. We'll start with the car vault application. So this is the Street Legal LLC through Jim Long, 796 Aquidneck Avenue, Middletown, Rhode Island, 02842. And we'll turn it over to the applicant to give us a overview, and then we'll go to the board for questions.
Sure, my name's Chris Duhamel with Decreed Engineering, professional engineer and land surveyor. Jim Long is with me, of course, and Dan Riley. This is the master plan review of a parcel that's within the industrial park. Parcel is 5107 lots 813 to 818, about 16 acres total. There's a wetland on the property, a wetland buffer. These have been flagged by the biologists of our company and been verified by the DEM. There's an easement, an electrical easement that cuts across east to west on the northern portion of the parcel. The remaining parcel, there's a Tiverton Recycling Center, a lease area that is shown on the parcel. The lease area will be continued for a period of time. Dan can give it the period of time. And the remaining parcel is to be built with a proposed car storage and an overflow lot for the multiplex recreational facility, sports center. The site is to be built with a building of 27,000 square foot. There's parking of 142 units that are surrounding the building. The overflow parking from the multiplex is 79 units at this time. The building will be serviced by municipal water, municipal sewer. We have a letter of approval from North Tiverton Fire District for water, and we have a will serve letter from Tiverton sewer. Sewer will be discharged to a private force main that's located on the Longplex property. Water will be from Progress Road, an extension of fire and water service from the 12-inch main on Progress Road. Drainage will be controlled on site, meeting all of RIDEM standards for improvement of water quality and mitigating the discharge of the 2 to 100 year storm to present undeveloped conditions. Everything that's submitted is conceptual in nature. We realize we have many permits to walk through. We submitted ahead of time a grip use permit to allow for grubbing of the site, which we anticipate receiving shortly. But stormwater management system will be submitted as well. We don't have a traffic study for the project. We defer that to preliminary. We don't anticipate a lot of traffic for the car storage to begin with, but the traffic study will address that. I think that's everything that we submitted.
We'll start by going around. Nathan, we'll start with you.
Okay, so we're discussing just the car storage. Okay, right?
Yeah.
Okay. We received the documents, so we reviewed the site plan as prepared May 22nd by Dupree. So We wrote a memo which we'll provide to the applicant as well after this meeting. So currently, Weston and Sampson has no objection to what the applicant has submitted so far from a high-level master plan standpoint. More detailed engineering information and details will need to be submitted by the applicant as the application progresses to future stages. And then, so we understand that it's conceptual at the moment. We do have a couple of small comments. Just recommend to address at the next submission. On sheet 4, the wetland delineation is shown. I just didn't see a note on when or by whom it was performed. So if that's not shown, we can add that to the next submission. Sheet 5 is the turning template for the ladder truck, and I would just recommend having the fire department confirm that's the correct dimensions if you haven't already. Sheet 5 shows the ADA parking spaces and associated aisles, acknowledging that these are conceptual plans. The details have not yet been provided. It is recommended that the ADA parking spaces show dimensions just to make sure that they're the required dimensions and have the proper number of van parking spaces and aisles as well. And then, again, sheet 6, just to reiterate, the details and sizing for utilities are to be determined. It is noted that additional information regarding utilities such as drainage, water, sewer, and traffic will be required by the application, by the applicant, and we'll review those as they're received. And then the hydraulic evaluation for the water supply. Based on our review, the applicant obtained a copy of the district's existing water model and modeled the effects of the added development for both sites. It seems to be both reasonable and thorough. And they conclude that the water system has adequate capacity for domestic and fire service. In addition, it seems they have submitted these findings and received a written concurrence from the North Tiverton Fire District. So we don't have any comments on the hydraulic evaluation.
Thank you.
That's it.
All right. Rick?
And note, the only things that pertain to DPW would be street openings and both Progress Road and Industrial Way have plenty of site distance in the area of Mr. Long, and stormwater, erosion control, stormwater management plan, maintenance plan, all covered by Nathan. So DPW is all set.
Thank you, Rick.
Thank you.
All right. Fire.
All right, since I very, very vague plans, and I understand we're preliminary, so I'm gonna not put all my comments out there, but we know we have to follow NFPA 101 2018, also NFPA 88A 2015. It's gonna be considered high hazard storage with a place of assembly. I see the plans have a 2-hour rated wall with a glass wall built into it. We just need to make sure how we fire rate that glass, especially in a 2-hour or possibly 3-hour rated enclosure. There will be a radio box test performed by the applicant, by a licensed company, once the building goes up. I know we didn't do it during Long Plex because that was whatever, but it will be done now, and we've been done it on quite a few other buildings that require radio transmissions. Looking at the capacity of this building, and I have the same comment on the other building. Where did you had to, Chris, right? Where did you get 145 people for the car storage? Because I am at 235 people.
So I'm gonna go to Melissa for that one.
Okay.
How we came up with the amount of people.
So we have been working with Jensen Hughes and Tim Wences.
Yep.
And so he's performed, this all just happened within the last week or two. He created a summary for us. So we went through by all of the uses and determined the occupant load. So the architectural drawings, which you haven't had the benefit of seeing yet, will include all of the occupant load, basically the full breakdown of travel distances.
Yeah, so I'm just, and I get the travel distance, but I'm going, so on a place of assembly, so I went, again, these are all vague numbers. I think I went 60 by 40, because that's what you have. I have 160 people. You have 45.
So the only place of assembly that we have
Is the restaurant.
is the member lounge on the
Right.
second floor, and also we have a double height space that we're anticipating would get used intermittently for, car display events.
Where's that? Is that not in here?
That's on the first floor. So as far as your part, Dan, I have to get you updated plans because even like you just mentioned, the glass we already took out because we're not going to pay the money to do the 2-hour rated glass. So I got to get you updated plans as far as the glass.
Yeah, that's fine, but I'm just going, these capacities that we have, even the other one is just way off.
What do you have for the first floor occupancy for the brand experience?
So for this car, and I went, first floor is 44 people at 500 square feet per person. Second floor, if I'm correct, I think it's the back side, is 25 people. The showroom in the front is 6 people, and the restaurant is 160 people. And that's from, again, these are vague numbers, just from what the measurements that I have that you provided. And you only have 55. So I don't know, and that doesn't include the detail shop.
Right, so our total occupant load is closer to 550 people based on what Tim provided for us.
Correct, and that's what I have to get you updated.
Well, so if it's 550 people, then your water calculations are way off for domestic use.
Well, and in fairness, we haven't updated Chris either on, because this is information that's just coming, that we've just been putting together.
Okay, so they're not gonna have to go back to North Tiverton then and getting a full analysis on that, because I'm looking at those numbers, I'm like, there's not 55 people in the building. And my numbers are just vague on what you got and just quickly going through everything. So that,
It's adding the first floors, it's what's not included in any of his numbers. The restaurant he's right on, actually, I think we're even over, I think we lowered the,
I might be over because I don't think I took out the kitchen or anything. Like I said, these are vague numbers.
yeah, we lowered a lot of it, so you're not that far up, but you just don't have the first floor numbers in the brand experience. That's what you're missing.
Well, this just says 10 employees and 45 lounge people, so I don't know, and I'm going by the Preets, that's what I'm looking at here.
That's what we had, yes.
Yeah, so.
That's what we had water analysis for.
Yeah, so I would highly recommend it. I don't know if you can enforce that as planning, is go back to North Tiverton to make sure that they have the proper water for the 500 and change that they just said.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's gonna have to get updated, whether the planning board requires that, before they're willing to render a master plan decision, that's up to them.
Yeah.
We can revisit that tomorrow. We can go to them tomorrow and ask them what's involved and so on and so on. So we can start that process tomorrow, no matter what.
Yeah.
Because it has to be
Yeah, I mean,
done.
I think the concern will be that if you're before the planning board with numbers that are no longer accurate, with a water agreement that is not based on accurate numbers, the planning board is gonna have some level of discomfort with moving forward without at least understanding what those real numbers are.
All right. Let me work on that tomorrow. Let me get the numbers updated, and I'll come back to Ed and saying, look, this is what we're adding, whatever he thinks it is and what we have and what Creek doesn't have, we'll say we're 200 off. I'll go to the town of Tiverton and see how long that process is going to take. At least we can go in front of the planning board saying we're 200 people off, but we already started working with Tiverton, and we'll go that way. So I don't see it being a problem. It's just, like I said, we just got these numbers last week. So some of the numbers we're going to lower, but downstairs you don't have it all, which is going to raise it.
And then, what else do I got? Again, sprinklers, and that's, again, you got, if I'm right, what, 27 racks? Something like that, rack storage?
So there's no racks at all. There's not even one rack.
All right, so that's changed dramatically from this then.
So it's hard for me to see how long ago you got these plans.
Now, this is what was submitted, this,
Well, wait, hold on, we don't have multiple versions,
May 22nd?
so it's whatever you guys gave us.
So Dan, you're just looking at a second floor. There's no racks there. That's a cement.
No, right there, 54 stacked cars. Right there.
Oh, stacking meant that they're.
There's not
one-
54 cars in that area right there.
I'm
Not an aisle,
sorry,
right?
stacked means that they're parked in front of each other, not on top of each other.
But there's not 54 cars right there.
You don't see the rest of the, you're missing the rest of the plan. So,
Look at this.
Conceptual plans, it shows them stacked.
I don't, honestly, I don't know.
Are there any turntables?
There's,
one in that glass window.
It says that this is 54.
If you count that and you times it by 2, you get 54 cars.
So here's, I think, what you're looking at. Can I put this in so you guys can all see?
No, it's not. This is what I'm looking at.
So this is, it's still the same amount of cars. What are we at, 200?
198, I
I
guess.
was gonna say 198. It's still 198, so what we did is we opened this up. That's what this is. So we took this row of cars and we just put them here. So we stacked them here. These cars are here for a year, they don't move. That's how it's, the further back you are, the least you touch the car. So there's no racks like, you know, above each other. So this is the second floor, this is the first floor, this is the second floor. So we copied this floor plan directly above this one. We just took those 2 rows out and put them in here instead. Still same amount of cars. We just made,
Just organized differently.
and once we open, still gonna be the same amount of cars. But like I said, this is, that they just parked for hopefully ever. And now we're using
The
this.
difference is that this is 2 stories, it's open for
Correct.
2 stories,
Correct.
whereas previously you had,
Well, it was here.
right,
but-
but it
yeah.
wasn't on
Correct.
that one.
So this one didn't really change. We just copied this floor plan because we can get more cars parked like that than like that. And then it opens us up here for the brand experience. But no racks. One turntable.
What plan would this?
This is dated June 11th.
And a lot of this was, when I met with you guys at the beginning, was my idea. Then we started working with the co-consultant. That's why I'm looking at Dan, like all that glass, that 2-hour rating and 3-hour rating, way too expensive. So now it's just gonna be sheet rock. But the concept and the amount of cars hasn't changed.
No, right, but the problem is when I get that and I have to do a review under that, and now
Right.
it's a total waste of my hours and time
Because we
when,
never saw this.
because we never saw this.
We're gonna have the
So-
same problem at the planning board. Because the planning board got the master plans from the May date. And now we have a different set of plans. I mean, it is what it is at this point. We're just gonna have to walk our way through that. But the comments that you're hearing are based on the plan set that we received
Right. That's gonna
as
happen
the
again.
master plan application.
But again, it's just that entrance where the 2 stories is. We just moved a row of cars on the other side of the other cars. That's basically all we did. And again, we got forced to do that when we start learning about codes.
I don't know if you want to continue to go through the, I mean, it probably makes sense at this point for you to go through the rest of your comments, and if they're.
Well, I mean, it's travel distances but it is what it is. I'll just have to wait until
But let me just ask you this. I mean, this is
separations, it's sprinklers, I'm sorry.
all of that, because we're doing that right now. We're doing the fire safety. We just did the exit signs and the travel distance, like all of that. That's coming to you in the village.
Oh, right,
Like, we
yeah.
have another, that's a whole different world.
Yeah,
So that's why, you know, you don't have all that, but that's all done now. So,
and I wasn't expecting it, these are just comments
Okay.
that I have out there and, that I wrote down that.
but as far as the planning board's concerned, that's not important right now, travel distance, exit signs.
Sorry.
Sounds like the feedback's been incorporated already.
So,
is it helpful if we send you the code summary that was performed?
But that's the next step, though. That's where I'm
I know.
going with
I
that.
just-
wanna
I don't know
say-
if it's helpful.
That would be building permit phase, wouldn't it? Honestly.
I have concerns though.
Well,
No, and I want to hear all of them so
I want
that,
to hear it before you build a permit.
when we do that, I want to
Right, I mean, the purpose of doing these technical review committee meetings is to get the benefit of these comments ahead of coming in for a permit, so that we're all on the same page. So it just makes it more challenging when these guys are reviewing plans that have been subsequently, you know, superseded with new plans, because you're getting comments based on what we have. I understand it's an iterative process. They'll keep getting revised. They'll probably change after next week when you talk to the planning board. I want to try to keep people on the same page and reduce any confusion that gets created by a new set of plans, you know, coming in. Because I'm going to give a report from the TRC to the planning board, and the report is going to reflect the fact that there's a plan set that we haven't seen yet, that hasn't been commented on by fire and building and zoning fully. So, I mean, we just, like I said, we have to do the best with what we have at this time. I mean, I would encourage us to continue to work together and get comments through the master plan and preliminary plan process, so that you get the benefit of fire and building code concerns as we move through the process, and then we don't have a fire drill at the end of, you know, the process where something didn't get reviewed, and then, you know, there's a subsequent problem with what was approved, which is really the purpose of doing the TRC. Is there anything else that you want to?
No, that's fine.
Okay. All right. Tom, I know you have questions and comments. I don't know if any of those are resolved by different
Most of
plan
them are. I
set.
just have like one concern. What are you classifying the building as? What use group?
So it's mixed use with assembly and storage.
What kind of storage?
So this is all probably the code review. I mean, I'd have to go through what Tim provided to us. But like I said, I can provide the
Say
entire.
S2 or something like that?
It is.
It's not. It's an H2. Well, if the amount of fuel you have in the building,
It's-
so that changes things. About 240 gallons with an S2 with this friendly building.
We'll have to talk to Tim about that. I mean, we're not storing gasoline or anything.
But like in the fuel tanks on the vehicles.
Well, we can provide additional information.
Okay. All right, we'll confirm that.
Well, it's because it opens up a whole nother ventilation, separate ductwork. You can't share any of the ductwork, any of the occupants. Egress going to be completely separated. Talking 3-hour fire separations. And you got a mercantile in there. It makes it more complicated.
Okay, we'll confirm with Tim.
Okay, yeah. Just preliminary, right?
That's it?
That's it.
Rosemary, I have a question for Mr. Duhamel. You mentioned you have a letter from the sewage. I don't have that in my packet. The planning board got these on June the 13th at TRC. I picked up my packet, so that's what I'm looking at. So. I believe it was included. But we'll make sure you have another copy. Did you have any other? No? Okay. Dick?
Yeah, I didn't see any stone walls on any of the site plans. It's been a while since I walked that whole area of it.
Are you talking about?
There is, on the ice house, there's a stone wall shown on the plan.
Yep, so we don't have the landscape yet, and I don't know if that was required, but we are putting a stone wall all the way down the property with a black fence behind it so that nobody can get into the property. But we are doing a stone wall all the way down the side of that building, including the empty lot that Longplex uses. And then across the street is our goal is to do the sidewalk with the stone wall all the way to the hotel property.
Is this gonna be a moving of the existing stone walls, or
There's no
this is
stone.
all new? There is none on this property?
No,
We don't see
Okay.
any of them.
No.
Okay, I didn't see any on there.
no.
I know they run all through there.
Yeah, but we do plan on the finished product is going to be stone wall with a black fence.
Okay. That's all I had.
Anything else? I think we'll have to, we can talk about this, but the parking lot for Longplex, I think, took us by surprise because it was not discussed as part of the application. And I know it's been an ongoing discussion with the town about supplementary parking for Longplex. But it's actually not even mentioned anywhere in your application. It's just shown on a site plan. So I think we're gonna need to address that. Because you're not just applying for the car vault, you're now applying for an accessory parking use for something that's off-site, which is really not even mentioned in your application.
So it
We
is.
talked about it at PRIA. There was a discussion about putting an easement on it in case the entities switched.
Actually, it was your idea. It was someone, might not have been your idea, I'm not throwing you under the bus, but someone said, in case he sells the property, who gets stuck with the, and so we did talk about it. And it was always in the plan, but at the same time, I am using it for the car building, because that's what we're gonna do our cars and coffee, so I don't wanna act, I was fixing two problems at the same time.
Okay.
That's why I made it
I'm
important.
not saying it's a problem, I'm just saying I don't think it's properly reflected in the application. It's not kind of discussed in the narrative, it's just on a site plan, and it may, I'm looking at these on a screen, so it's a bit harder sometimes to tell. But I think we need to just confirm how that's gonna work, if it's a shared parking situation that's servicing Longplex at some points in time, but also being used by the car vault. Also, we just need, there are requirements for shared parking in the ordinance, so we just need to address those and make sure that everything is, is meeting the requirements and the standards in the ordinance. And since there is no kind of analysis of that, there is no mention of that it's being applied for as a accessory use. We just need to make sure that that's on the record, that it's clear in the record, and that the planning board is making decisions reflective of that part of the application. Because
I apply?
otherwise, somebody, 5 years from now, it won't make any sense.
Am I allowed to apply for two applications on the same lot? In
I,
other words, it's being used for the
Yeah.
car building, but we're definitely using it. The car building's busy in the summer, Longplex is not. In the winter, it's the opposite. No one should be even using the car building.
so I don't think that there's any reason that you can't do it. I just want to make sure that the application is reflective of the fact that you're applying for two things, that the planning board understands that they're potentially approving two things, and that all parts of the application kind of tie back to the fact that you are applying for two things. It's just I'm not saying you can't do it, or that they won't consider it. I just want to make sure that the record is clear, that's all.
Yeah, we'll make sure that's reflected. We can, with the use in place on there, I know, as long as we follow the shared use parking.
Right,
ordinance.
and so if that's addressed, if the narrative makes it clear that this is a part of this application, that way we can structure the planning board memo accordingly and the decisions accordingly, so that it's very clear from now. And, I've spent a lot of time digging through files and records trying to piece back together what happened in history, and when there's big pieces missing, it gets really hard. And so it's just one of my goals is to make sure that the record is clear, and that's all. I'm just mentioning it now.
No, I'm on board for that.
Okay, anyone else? Any other? Do you guys have any other questions, thoughts? Do you want to relay at this time?
If we can keep that plan kind of simple, I know what Dan's looking at, we moved to roll cars, so it's completely different. But at the end of the day, all we did was we took cars and put it on the other side. I'm gonna get you updated plans as soon as possible, and maybe we can outline, this is all we did. We didn't change the plan, so I don't want it to, like, we didn't change the size. We did it because of the code. So, and I didn't learn that until last week.
Yep.
So if we can keep that simple, looking at making it look like we came in and changed everything.
And I get that, and don't have a problem with that. It's another kind of like record-keeping thing. We just want to make sure that the planning board knows what they're looking at, that everybody's on the same page. And so I think if you can get the revised sheet with a simple written description of like what's changed and why, then we can add that to the record. They can all get that, and then at least when you come in and explain that as part of the application discussion, everybody has that in front of them, and we can all kind of, we can keep ourselves organized that way.
Okay. And that's simple to do, Melissa?
It is.
Okay.
Ashley, can we supplement the info before Tuesday's meeting, or at this point?
Yeah, I mean, you can supplement. Again, I appreciate that it's dynamic. I do. I'm not saying you have to keep it static and wait for responses. I just want to make sure that we have an agreement on process, that when things do change, we have to get an updated sheet. I will send it to them. I don't know if they'll look at it. I don't know if they'll have time between now and then. I can't account for that, but we, at least when we get to the meeting, you can walk them through it, and they'll have it in front of them with a written, short description of why you changed what you changed and what you changed, so that at least we can work through it together.
Jim, you said you were going to talk about codes
Yes.
recently. Did you talk about energy code at all?
Yes, that's been updated too, because we're working with Can-Am, the steel building.
So it's going to be a 2024 IECC
It is.
compliant?
Yep.
Very good.
Excuse me, Ashley, the parking garage, what lot will that be on?
Well, it's shown right now as a surface parking, right?
Yeah, oh, for the
overflow.
yes,
The
yes.
overflow. So it's a surface parking lot.
It's on a lot that's been advertised.
It's on this lot.
It looks like it's part of the car building, and we are going to be using it as part of the car building.
Okay.
But my original goal is connect it to one of the logplex one of them,
So it can also
so they can
act
just
as
use it
overflow.
on overflow.
There would be an easement in place and a long-term lease in place allowing the access for overflow.
Okay, I love it.
As long as it's declared, it's.
It's on the site plan. It's just, I want to make sure that the rest of the application is reflective of the fact that it's on the site plan. Because when these things, years later, it becomes really hard.
And we'll record the lease too, so it'll be on. Sorry.
So it's on the car vault property.
Okay.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, just really quick, Jim, so the overflow parking lot, you said it would be used for the car storage. Is there like a pathway, or is there something that connects it to the other lot that's used for the car storage?
It's going to be connected.
Okay.
And we're going to get you a landscape so I can show the stone walls and show everything. So it's like kind of hard for me to be prepared for this to answer all the extra stuff, because I wasn't in what I needed today. But yes, they're going to be connected, and we'll show the trees that we're planting and all that stuff. So the easiest way I can say what the car building is going to look like is a carbon copy of Longplex. It's going to be the exact same lights, same trees, same landscape, same size islands. Everything's just going to look like it's all one, and then that building will be a completely different color.
Okay.
So it's going to be easy for us to continue the landscape and the look that was already approved for Longplex.
And is there any plan for any sort of like walking path between Longplex and the car vault?
Yes. Yep. We'll show all that too. Because our goal is remember, there's not a real restaurant in the car building, so we want them to go eat at Longplex.
Gotcha. Okay.
Okay. Anything else? All right, we can move to the next application, which is the Longplex Ice and Golf LLC, LP Properties LLC, by and through James Long, 796 Aquidneck Avenue, Middletown, 02842. And this is the application for the proposed Ice House Sports Complex building.
I'll summarize. Christy Hamilton, pre-engineering. This is on Assessors Plat 109 lots 720 to 742, 33 acres once combined. There's a proposed ice house with a number of uses that are considered within it. The uses to list them are a bleacher for 2 hockey rinks, 12 pickleball courts, box seats for oversight of the recreational areas, 70 lockers, 148 seats for a golf range. There is virtual golf with 24 seats and a restaurant with 148 seats. So 1,552 total seats are being proposed. The site building is to be serviced with 444 parking spaces with the ADA of 12 spaces being proposed. Again, serviced by water, public sewer. In this case, the public sewer will be through an easement, sewer force main in the shoulder of Progress Road to the existing gravity sewer at the location of Industrial Way, Progress Road. And the water and fire service will be from extension of the service off of the 12-inch main on Progress Road. Again, we've had analyzed the water flow for the property, and it's found to have sufficient water, 54 psi, and sufficient fire flow of 1,882 gallons per minute. Stormwater will be handled on site to meet all DEM requirements for water quality improvements and mitigation of the increase in peak runoff from the 100-year storm, given present pre-development conditions. We've provided for a fire truck access through the site of 40 feet in total length. We will question. There's many permits that are needed. We are in the process of completing a RIPD's permit for the grubbing of the site. DEM stormwater permit for the stormwater management system. We have not done a traffic study. We will do that traffic study at preliminary plan. That's it.
Nathan?
Okay, yeah, so Weston and Sampson again reviewed the plans dated May 22nd. Just to reiterate, what we received so far is conceptual plan, and more detailed engineering information and details will need to be submitted, and we'll review that additional documentation when it's received. Just a couple of notes on the plans. A couple are repetitive from a previous statement. The wetland delineation shown, but I didn't see a note on when it was performed. Just recommend adding that. Acknowledging again that's conceptual plan. I didn't notice any trash receptacles shown if there are any in the parking area, add those in the next submission if needed. Confirm the dimensions of the Tiverton Fire Department ladder truck if you haven't done that yet, and again, just verify the dimensions of the ADA spaces and any van spaces that are necessary for the property. And the only other note that for the ice house was, I noticed the site, the locus map on certain pages was different than the plan. So if you go to the cover page, the site shown on the location map does not match the next page, which I think is the correct one, page 2. So if you go to page 2, you'll notice the site count at the USGS map in the corner is a different site than the actual site.
Yeah, Jim bought more land in the middle of this.
So just the next submission, if those could match, just so there's no confusion. And again, we'll review the, as we get more details on drainage traffic, the sewer connection, water connection, we'll review that as we receive it at the more updated submission.
Thank you.
Okay. Rick?
Again, on this stormwater plan and erosion control plan, Nathan reviews. On the stormwater management maintenance plan, again, Nathan reviews that. DPW's only question is, what is the access and egress? Is that going to be off what is now a paper street? Or is it going to be coming on to Progress Road directly?
So right now, it's going to come onto Progress Road directly. We are coming back, not to make things complicated, but we do have a game plan for the other piece, and we want to put a road coming down there. But at the end of the day, we are abandoning that road and we're sticking to it. Nothing's changing. I will come back to you guys after we have a better game plan to put up some kind of tradesman center on the other side. My goal is to put a road right down the middle of the two of them, so we would have access to both pieces. And to be honest with you, this is where I'm trying to move the recycling center, is at the end of that new road. So I kind of don't want to talk about something right now and confuse people, but we're going to do the entrance from Progress, and down the road, I intend on putting another road back in.
Okay. DPW's point or concern would be for Chris and Jim is that if it's going to exit and you're going to enter right off of Progress Road, 444 parking spots and that many people, it may be called a driveway, but it would have to be sized as a road would be sized. Okay. If they're coming in and out off an auxiliary road, then coming onto Progress is going to automatically be a road. That's our only point. Whether it's called the driveway or road, it's treated with that many people as a road.
Okay.
And make sure the line of sight on Progress Road in anywhere is adequate, which the street always does, but we mentioned that.
Okay.
Okay. They're not here. I have a page full of numbers that I couldn't even tell you what all this means. But it does seem like it's the same kind of question about capacity. Dan is counting a capacity of about 3,600. You guys have shown about 1,500. So he's questioning where these numbers are coming from, which obviously is directly related to a lot of things, including water and sewer service.
Yeah, so actually, can I just say something real quick? I know Dan's doing his thing to come up with 3,600 people. Longplex isn't even 2,400 people, and it's 3 times the size of the sites, Rick. So, Chris, that's what they go through. You have a sheet of ice, you're probably gonna have 40, 50 people on it. He's probably taking the square foot of the building and putting the people on it. So, there's no way we could get 3,400 people in that building, because again, it's the third of the size of Longplex, and my capacity at Longplex, which we've never even hit 50%, is 2,400. So again, all of that stuff is code. That has nothing to do with me. It's code. So I can't squeeze people in, so we'll make sure all those numbers match. And that's what we are doing with the code consultant. That's what caused me a couple problems to make the changes in the car. I have an idea, nowhere near the 34, I'm way under that. I go to the code consultant before I present my plans so they don't rip me apart, and then we present. And then we should be very close to the number that is legal. But there's no way, I'm telling you right now, we're gonna put 3,400 people in that building.
Jim, is the Iceplex plan changed at all since the
The Iceplex hasn't changed at all.
Okay.
So that's the same plans that we got May 22nd, I think was the date. Okay. All right, I don't have a note on building. I know that there were concerns, but I think, again, this is something that you guys are gonna go back and forth more than once on and resolve. And I think at this point, all we can do is tell the planning board that that's the plan, is that you'll be going back and forth with them, resolving these things, and it'll all get worked out before there's any.
I don't get a permit.
Right, I understand.
I don't get a permit unless everybody's agreed on everything and we move forward, so.
Yep. All right, Rosemary.
I'm set.
Dick.
Yeah, I had a question about these lot numbers. On the agenda, it says lot 720 to 734, but we also see references 720 to 742. And when you're looking at the things as far as, this happens to be the abutters map, but, which is not the same, so I'm not sure which lots are actually, whether that's on us.
Oh, it's on, so the town of Tiverton has two recorded, two different ones, because they tried to make them bigger at one time. They did, but they never got recorded. And that's been a problem since day one. So all I know is he has the legal documents as far as what we're buying, because that's what we're recording, but I can see what you're looking at, and it's not that. And if you drive out there, they're numbered different.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna let the lawyers and Ashley come up with the same, and then I understand that he did the survey. Ashley's happy with the survey, correct? And the survey's a survey, so.
Survey is a survey.
We know what we're buying, but you're right, if you're looking at that, I know it's a different answer.
Okay, just looking through the things, you saw that mismatch every once in a while.
No, I agree.
And by the same token, like the hydrology study include the hotel, or they mention the hotel in there. And even though we're not considering that today, it was mentioned in some of these documents.
I agree.
Is that still on the plate someplace?
So the hotel is definitely gonna happen, but not by me and not for a couple of years, okay? The reason I did that is because I was able to package it all together. I want to be involved in the hotel as far as bringing people there because we have the locations. We're selling out hotels every weekend. So, and that's where I was going with this, Ashley. I can go back to the water department. I know we have enough water reserved for our projects, even if I'm off by a couple hundred people. So I don't think it's going to be a big deal to get that fixed because I don't need the hotel water. I'm not going to tell them that because I don't want to give it to somebody else, because I need it to sell the space to a hotel person. So the hotel is just, it's gonna happen. They wanna see the hockey building up first. We wanna start filling it out with tournaments. And then we have Longplex, the ice hockey. We have, 2,000 kids there on a Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. They need a place to stay. And that's why the hotel made sense.
Yeah, that's fine. I just need to know that when I'm going through the documents that, when it mentions it, if you gotta consider that within the figures and things, so I'm okay.
All right, anything else?
If you see anything that Tom, know, it was kind of important to answer. Ed, you can, or actually just email all of us and we'll just get answers so that it's answered for them for the next meeting. Again, I'm not arguing with anybody with code. Code's gonna be code, we're gonna fix it and we're gonna do it. Otherwise, we don't move forward. So, but that really happens when I pull a permit with the fire marshal and I pull a permit with the building inspector.
Would any code changes or anything with the code force you to change your plans at all as constituted in terms of number of buildings, let's say?
I don't think so. I don't think, it's just the little surprises when someone says, oh, you need to be classified as this, like he already did.
Well, I think that's part of the benefit of doing this,
Yeah.
is you're getting their feedback early so that whatever is moving through the planning board for an application is also, their eyes are on it, and we can make sure that those things align so that we don't have that at the end of the day. The planning board has approved something and then these guys bring up a code issue or a fire issue, and then you have to start figuring out if you need to amend a plan because of it. Like, that, the hope is that that doesn't happen because we're bringing them in early.
Correct, and I'm gonna give you that plan. I'm gonna give you the plan that that you guys already have. Melissa's gonna redline it, showing you the changes. So I'm just gonna give you an additional one sheet showing that this is what you guys had for the past month, and because of code, I have to move these rows of cars back. That's it. Because I don't want you guys to think that, oh, he just changed everything on him and you just wasted your time, because that's not really the case.
Okay. I think that will help guide the conversation with the planning board. All right, that's all we have on the agenda. Anything else before we adjourn?
Don't ask me about the hotel.
All right, then I will adjourn before anyone asks Chris about the hotel.
Appreciate it. Thank
All
you.
right, thanks, guys.